The worst thing about surviving in the wild is going hungry. If you had a mosquito net in your hand, I'm not sure I'll catch the big fish. You can still order little fish on the hole. What do you need to do about it? Just swallow it raw right into your stomach. You can even feel the fish moving. I'm just asking if it's new. If I'm lucky, I'll pick up a turtle. All it takes is a knife to pry open the shell. Can't fix this turtle soup. Just ask the brother you need. And of course, there are those who shoot arrows with slingshots. Even this arrow was made by hand. You can easily shoot the fish through. If you haven't learned any of this, I suggest we get takeout. Steven came again for the challenge. Anyone who's been watching my videos knows that. He did well in his first session, whether it's hunting or starving. I'm sure the biggest impression is the loss of teeth. Enjoy retirement life directly in advance. After the Krypton gold teeth, the whole person that is full of confidence. He originally turned down the show's offer, but I heard it's going to be two blondes. He agreed without a second thought. The main concern is the newbie's not going to make it. I need a thigh minter like me to fly. Bags can let them experience will be happy. This time to the Cumberland Plateau, in the area of steep cliffs. Lots of black bears and coyotes. Not to mention poisonous snakes. It's rainstorm season now. Normal people don't dare come here. No wonder Steve needs to lead the team. Allison doesn't know who's coming. Preferably a handsome guy with double doors. The first time I went on TV, I said I'd be naked. I've been taking care of my whole body every day. Strive for beauty in front of the camera without dead ends. Dude, are you here to make a vase? In fact, she is usually a wilderness survival enthusiast, not weak in strength and skill. It took Allison 10 years to learn. This challenge is the best test. See if you can complete the challenge with your partners. She's pretty happy with her body. You have to be charming in front of the camera. And Jenny, not so much. Fear of the unknown environment. I wasn't thinking about it. I don't think I'm qualified yet. But the husband has always encouraged himself. He's taken part in challenges before, gave a lot of useful advice. That's what made me decide to participate. Recently, my husband exercises with me every night. This challenge is sure to be successfully completed. Soon Jenny was unbound and on her way. Steven felt like he was at home. He can't wait to meet a beautiful woman. Look at the thickness of the fat. There's nothing wrong with starving for 21 days. Allison and Jenny met first. They thought it was a women's challenge. Thinking about how to show your girl power next. I didn't expect a man to show up. I almost wanted to scream. Allison recognized it as Steven, a living legend in her heart. This is going to be an interesting challenge. All three were pleased with each other. I feel like this is the last time the show is the second best. Steven said he was not here to direct, just sharing experiences in the wild. And work with your partners to help each other learn. Allison and Jenny have a crush on Steven. Who doesn't like a guy who's nice and secure? What kind of spark are they already looking forward to? It's customary to see what the gear is first. Allison wears a mosquito net to protect her skin. You can catch fish when you're hungry. The real name is recommended to use. Jenny uses a firearm to start fire. Steven brought a brand new weapon, the slingshot. It's like a bird shot. The show also gives away machetes and pots. You got the basics for survival in the wild. You can now follow the directions on the map. Head over to the pond area. In theory, there's enough food to go around. There aren't many trees around. Gather the materials if you have a knife. Steven draws on his own experience of many challenges. The itinerary is already planned by map. Now move with your thighs. I don't care if there's a lot of vegetation here. There are so many thorns lurking. No matter how experienced Steven is, you can't avoid them all, while enduring the thrill of thorns, while sharing wilderness survival tips with your partner. The more Jenny listened to it, the more frightened she became. I don't think the challenge is for me. Allison was very excited. She loves being in close contact with nature. Backpacks used to be full of food. One more tent is enough. Nothing now. This is the right way to open up for wilderness survival. Under the leadership of Steven, soon everyone came to more dense areas. It's getting closer and closer to the destination. Tortured by heat and humidity. I feel dehydrated and faint at any moment. There's a stream just up ahead. Walk along here to get to your destination faster. That's a long walk to start with. We got materials to gather and work on. I'm really tired just thinking about it. Up there is a natural cave. It's a lot drier than I thought. Clean up the area and make a fire. I'm sure I'll sleep well tonight. Allison was worried about snakes emerging. Steven says snakes are good. How long are you going to be hungry? That makes the cave all the more satisfying. Having decided to camp here, well, we could start by looking at the creek. See if you can boil the water. Allison collects firewood. The current team configuration is very reasonable. Steven is confident that we can complete the challenge together. It's getting late. It's time to get the fire out. What skill is needed when you have a firearm? A few clicks and that's it, right? The first day went pretty well. We'll see what we can eat tomorrow. At night, all the animals around come alive. The roar is really scary. Jenny is completely afraid to sleep. I keep thinking something's gonna rush in. The frightened look worried Steven. Just keep trying to calm down. Don't scream, and she stumps. Steven couldn't talk you out of it. Can only accompany the side. It was hard to wait until dawn. The state of mind is terrible. Hardly any rest. It turns out, even if you're prepared, it's still scary when you actually face it. The best way to overcome fear, that is to fill up and go to bed. So we'll explore the neighborhood later. Stop thinking about those wolf cries. I don't know how lucky I am to be attacked. Not to mention Steven. I'm sure we can protect everyone. It's still some distance from the pond. It's worth a little time. I'm afraid I'll get lost in the jungle. Jenny was not well rested to begin with. Now it's a long journey. The body is just a little overwhelmed. I had to stop and wait for her. As things stand now, it's going to take a little more time to get there. Jenny walked slowly though, but I still put up with it. I see a stream over here. Found a lot of fish in it. Maybe we can get something to eat here first. Take the mosquito net and put in the water. Just a few minutes of stillness. And when I brought it up again, it was a harvest. Such a tiny fish. Nothing to deal with. Jenny can just swallow it. The taste is really bad, but a little energy boost would be nice. Try a little harder here. Try to get one for everyone. It just so happens I got two little fish. It's really different when you eat it raw. It feels like the fish is still squirming. The weather is getting hotter and hotter now. Water replenishment is particularly needed. The body can't take any more exploring. Steven decided it was time to go back. I got enough fish for today anyway. By night, the wolves were at work again. The roar never stopped. Jenny was too scared to sleep. What else can my teammates do? Can only get up to calm the emotions. No wolf is going to charge. There's fire and there's Steven. It'll scare the wolves away, despite what my teammates say. But Jenny was still shivering. You're going to drive yourself crazy. Day 3 of the challenge. Jenny hardly slept. Spent the whole night worrying about being attacked by wolves. She doesn't know why anyone else can sleep. Is it really too sensitive? Both mentally and physically, they're all getting closer to the edge of their limits. The most important thing now is to get food. Explore the pond again. Bring a pot full of water. We also prepare materials for the fire. Whenever the food is ready, it can be cooked. They also found many birds in the trees. These are high-quality grain reserves. From time to time, you can hear squirrels. Steven's slingshot looks specially prepared. There's plenty of food around, though, but not many are within range. Can only look deeper into the jungle. It's a long walk from camp to the pond. It takes a lot of energy. It's hard to walk around with the wet. The good news is we found a copperhead, arguably the most common venomous snake in the area. One bite is enough to poison an adult. Jenny looked afraid to approach. Steven and Allison are very excited. I kept telling Jenny to get over her fear. Tell her to grab a stick and control the snake's head. Allison immediately stepped forward to apply the knife. You just have to master your hunting skills. Even the most venomous snake can be safely taken down. You can cook this in a minute. Steven also sent his best wishes. It's a sign of courage. I hope things get better and better. Put that way, Jenny didn't feel very good. If Steven hadn't been there, I don't want to touch it at all. Steven saw this as a chance to overcome his fears, forcing Jenny to hold the snake. Her whole being was very resistant. Stand up all the hair on your body. Anyway, let's get rid of the snake, okay? Steven remembered his first challenge 10 years ago. just as clumsy as they are. Where could it be handled so smoothly as now? I used to eat my heart alive. It's a really subtle feeling. Eat a heart alive again today to celebrate. I hope I can come again in the future. Snake meat really smells good when heated. Allison and Jenny are both tasting it for the first time. True to the word, crunchy chicken. Unfortunately, there is so little meat to be had. Put it in your mouth and taste it carefully. Chew each bite several times. Jenny doesn't usually eat much meat, does she? I've really pushed myself since I got here. It's a lot to do for a challenge. Jenny felt very wrong after eating the snake meat. My stomach is already churning. Such a state cannot be explored further. Just go back to camp and rest. Jenny has been in a state of restlessness, the fear of wolves at night. Now, there are gastrointestinal problems. Today can only be forced to end the rest. Things didn't get better when night came. Jenny was very afraid when she heard the wolf cry. Double torture is driving people crazy. The challenge is on its 6th day. Allison is more comfortable with the pace of the challenge, although it hasn't rained yet. But we can't go a day without firewood, or there will be a sudden storm. The body can't handle it without a fire to warm it. Everyone worked together to cut and move wood. Jenny was eager to help the team, but the body can't take it anymore. We have to go back and lie down. This is not the way to go. She didn't expect the challenge to be so difficult. I feel like my heart's gonna burst out. The torment of fear is too great. If it doesn't work out, then we'll have to say goodbye. Stephen kept trying to get Jenny back, but she just couldn't take it. No one can comfort you now. Looks like we're getting ready for the homecoming beat. The challenge came on the 7th day. Jenny's not getting any better, okay? I'd love to finish the challenge like my husband, but it's really at breaking point. Instead of dragging the team down here, might as well go home and get better. Steph knows every contestant who comes to the challenge will go through such trials, not mentally overcoming fears to face challenges. Finally, I have to give up the challenge and go home. Stephen felt he had done his best. Still didn't make it to the end with Jenny. Allison wasn't surprised she left. He's been out of his element from the start. It's only a matter of time before you quit the challenge and go home. I'm also relieved. No need to share the load later. He'll have an easier time with Stephen. Jenny thinks she's still too raw. I need to go back and learn more from my husband. I hope I can come back for another challenge. So Jenny left with the director. I came here expecting all kinds of problems. It just doesn't take into account the fear of unfamiliar situations. The mind breaks down so much that the body can't handle it. So the mentality is not good. You have to practice more. When Jenny left, it was just Stephen and Allison. The departure of a companion is sad, but it'll be easier without her. There's still a chance of completing the challenge. Allison felt the same way. Without Jenny in the way, she's a better match for Stephen. I am very confident that I can complete the challenge. It depends on getting enough food. Day 9 of the challenge. The two men looked for food along the running water. Stephen didn't forget to instruct his partner on how to look around. Keep your eyes moving back and forth. You must tread lightly. Avoid scaring the animals around you. Allison's stomach was growling with hunger. I just saw a squirrel looking over there. Stephen would love to get some meat, but this slingshot is a little hard to aim, since squirrels can't get it. So where are their nuts? I have to say that finding food is really tiring. Allison's not as active as she was when she started. Kind of want to stop and rest. Stephen followed the birds. They're a little high up in the tree. Just give up and keep looking. Based on years of wilderness survival experience, he didn't find it filling. In this way, I came to the 12th day. We've explored the area. Resources are insufficient for 2 people to complete the challenge. Stephen suggested moving to the other side of the pond. Allison was worried about the lack of food. We'll have to build shelters. My legs are weak just thinking about it. Stephen told his partner to relax. If there's no food in that area, he went straight to the show and complained. Allison was skeptical. Let's just hope everything goes well. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse and worse. After a day of rest adjustment, Stephen can't wait to move. There is no meat to eat these days. The whole person that is haggard a lot. Pack up and head to the pond. I thought about going there before, It's just Jenny wasn't feeling well at the time. Didn't make it to the pond a couple of times. I thought it was going to go well. I didn't think it would rain until I moved. I don't know if it's bad luck or bad luck. It's too late to go back now. Just keep going through the rain. Allison was a little overwhelmed. The challenge was harder than expected. Fortunately, the rain didn't last long, but the temperature has dropped quite a bit. Can only be warmed by the heat of walking. Now, it's not just a physical test, or the constant pressure on the spirit. The average person would not dare to continue the challenge. It took about 2 hours. At last, we are on the side of the pond. It's a lot bigger than I thought. If we can take advantage of what we have here, Allison is confident that she can meet the challenge. All that matters now is getting the shelter ready. They wouldn't bet on it raining during the night. This is a nice spot up front. It can be built with a little cleaning. Stephen is going to get some water first. It looks like a good place for animals to live. He's confident he can fill his stomach here. It's when the wood is wet all around. It's not easy to keep a fire going, even with Steph being such an experienced player. He can't say he will succeed 100%. Been there trying to get the material to dry, but it didn't work out very well. Busy for a long time without success. They're soaking wet now. Plus there's thunder in the sky. You don't know how you're going to survive tonight. Stephen tried his best to build a fire. I want everything I can use. Fortunately, the fire was finally lit. Take the time to boil the water to replenish the water. The problem of dehydration cannot be put off. The shelter won't be ready in time. All we can do tonight is gather more firewood. I hope there won't be a storm tonight. Otherwise, we'll have to protect the fire with our flesh. I didn't feel so good at night. The gnats kept creeping up on me. There's a bunch of ticks, just getting rid of them. Allison was tortured all night. It's impossible to sleep. You don't know how you made it to dawn. The state of mind is terrible. Talk about building shelters off the ground. Stephen missed his old cave very much. Everything is fine except that there is no meat to eat. We can't keep thinking about the gnats. We don't have time to get the shelter ready. Let's take a more classical structure. The materials chosen are thinner saplings. It'll be a lot easier to collect and carry. It was done in a moment. As long as there's no big storm, this shelter will last until the challenge is over. It's much more comfortable lying down now. The challenge continues on the 15th day. Stephen finally had time to look around. His slingshot is starving. Allison stayed behind to gather firewood. If all goes well, the fire should smell of meat today. Stephen's feeling a lot of pressure. I can survive the challenge without eating. I just don't think my partner can handle it. Traces of rabbit activity nearby. The problem is the grass is too high, even walking in front of my own eyes. He also had trouble hitting targets with his slingshot. Let's see if there's any fruit to eat. Small raindrops began to appear in the sky again. Allison is running out of firewood. They've been cutting it down and hauling it back. I'm already weak enough. It's going to break you down. It's raining harder and harder. Stephen also had to suspend his hunt. Find shelter from the rain first. Try to make sure your chest is dry. Curl up and control your breathing. This can effectively prevent hypothermia. Allison looks like her partner's not back yet. It's kind of scary being in the shelter by yourself, just to keep an eye on the fire. I'm almost exhausted, for fear of being extinguished because of their negligence. It's really going to be overwhelming. The rain shows no sign of stopping. The wet wood could hardly hold the fire. The flame, though, is getting weaker and weaker. Can only pray that the partner will be back soon. Stephen is on his own right now. I've been shivering with the cold. Fortunately, the rain didn't last forever. Allison is trying to calm down. As long as it keeps the fire alive, there's still a chance it'll burn again. Stephen's side finally made it back to the shelter. Caught nothing after a busy day. Instead, you're breaking your body down. Allison took good care of the fire. You can still stay close to the fire. We're going to have to rethink our survival plan. The hunt was just not meant to be. Why don't you help me gather some more firewood? At least I get a good night's sleep. I hope Allison's body can handle it. If even she pulls out of the challenge, then Stephen's visit won't mean much. The roof was also replaced with larger blades to prevent rain. Now, let's call a storm. I can still hold it off a little bit. Allison did her best to meet the challenge. Are ready to starve. Didn't expect to find a turtle on Steven's side. Seriously suspect the show put it there. How else could it have happened? Now the mood is very excited. We're gonna have to cook this up a bit later. Allison saw Steven coming back with the turtle. The saliva is almost left. I have no heart for work now. I just want to get rid of this turtle. Just point the knife at the gap. Go a little deeper. I can crack the shell open. There's not a lot of meat in there. Just put it in the pan and cook it slowly. After a period of waiting, I can finally taste something I haven't seen for a long time. Steven felt full of power now. I could do push-ups all night. Allison was blushing a little when she heard it. It's just not that day. It began to rain again towards the end of the day. Fortunately, the shelter was upgraded early. Otherwise, we'd be worrying about the fire right now. The only downside is the rain will blow in. The ground is wet and hard to sleep on. The situation continued until dark and did not improve. Barely enough to cuddle up against a fire. The challenge came on day 16. Washed away by rain and cold. My body is still shivering with cold. Steven has done so many challenges. Each faced torrential rain. Serious suspicion is that the show set it up. Throw him in the desert next time. I really don't want to experience another storm. It's the first time Allison's faced such a hostile environment and maintain a healthy mental state. You can see how much exercise she does. The turtle guts from yesterday can be used as bait. If only we could catch a big fish. Hurry up and get the tools manufactured. It wasn't really that hard. Just finding the right branches to trim. Then you can use the mosquito net to tie and weave. Turtle innards smell pretty good. Just pack it up a little bit and put it inside. Such a big pond. You can't have a little fish without one. Drop the net into the water, and the long wait began. You can see there are still fish in the water. The two men stared at them. One can't resist the temptation to eat the bait. Allison remained still for a long time. The muscles had begun to tremble slightly. Whenever she wants a replacement, Steven told her the fish were coming. Concentrate immediately on the surface of the water. The moment the big fish enters the net, lift the net with force immediately. And there's nothing in it. Are you sure it's a real fish? Seeing that it was getting late, I had to go back to rest first. Steven was up all night thinking about how to get food. Net skimming has a lot of potential. I should catch the fish. Allison was just a little bit off. I'll have to do it myself next time. But then again, the weather is extremely cold. It never used to be that cold in the snow. It's because I'm not cold. Or is it too wet and cold in here? I just couldn't sleep all night. You want to bury people in a fire to keep them warm. The physical condition of the two is getting worse and worse. Steven kept giving his partner chicken soup. Never mind whether it works or not. Let's get her back on her feet. The most important thing now is to get food. As long as there's enough meat, there's no problem. After Steven comforted Allison, go to the pond and study it immediately. Where is it easier to get the fish? The net is good to use. It's just that the wait is a little long. Steven is going to retrofit the slingshot. If I could shoot like a bow and arrow. Confident of a direct hit on the fish. He's already started gathering materials to get to work. The first thing is to get this arrow out. Handmade and hardened. Keep the slingshot in line with the target when used. He is confident that he will hit his target. The challenge continued on day 18. Steven finally found a chance to shoot. It's on target. I don't know why I just scraped the edge. You don't want to starve until you evacuate. Allison has been repeatedly wandering in a breakdown. I'd love to quit the challenge and go home now. Steven is still trying to catch fish. The arrow is weaker than I thought. Sometimes you can't even break through the water. We still need to upgrade the arrow. Clean up the excess. Make sure it's fast and hard. The challenge has reached the 19th day. Steven still couldn't catch the fish. Maybe we should put on the wire. Are you sure this slingshot isn't meant to be funny? Steven didn't give up. Shot after shot and got a hit. Oh man, we were just getting punched in the face. Look at the excitement on his face. You'd think you'd caught a big fish. Never mind the size of the fish. Slingshot can catch fish. Just ask everyone if it's 6. What's the most important thing now? That, of course, means the fish is clean. Then put on the fire and cook. The meat of the white flower who looked a little good. Maybe it's been too long without fish. They taste better than anything. I didn't put any seasoning in it. It's good enough just to cook it like this. After moistening the fish, two people that is full of power, just waiting to go home on evacuation day. Allison dug up some roots around. These have a sterilizing effect. Put in a pot and boil it. Clean your mouth like mouthwash. Instant smell, that is a lot of fresh. Welcome to try it out. Day 21 came at last. We're still some way from the extraction point. We need to get through the jungle to the ridge. The two were ready to go. Just watch out for hidden snakes on the road. Other problems are not so big. At a steady pace towards the ridge. It's been a pretty smooth ride. Just a rock, that's a straight down. Nothing can stop them from going home. It was not long before we reached the evacuation point. Although Stephen wasn't able to lead everyone through the challenge. But at least I didn't come here alone. Allison's strength is worthy of recognition. Hope to see her again next time for the challenge. Let's see what other gods come along.